It's Women's Month, and this month we'll be celebrating all the phenomenal women that are doing amazing things in business. Our guest this week is Lizl Naude. She's the founder of Lilly Loompa, a business that literally takes trash and turns it into treasure through the process of upcycling. This week I have a personal friend who's also an amazing businesswoman with me. She is the founder of Lilly Loompa. Welcome, Lizl.
Thank you, Zal. It's so great to be with you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
The time to be with me today. So Lizl, the reason I really wanted to do this interview with you, because when I think of you and your journey with Lilly Loompa, the first thing that comes to my mind is like from trash to treasure, because you literally have a gift to be able to see something and see opportunity in it and in things that so many people can't. And I really think it's such a unique gift, and you've transformed that into a business. So tell us a little bit about Lilly Loompa.
Lilly Loompa is my alter ego. The name comes from my nickname, which was Lilly when I was younger, and Loompa comes from the Oompa Loompa character from my favorite children's book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So the name itself has been coming on for a while, but my business, the actual upcycled hip homeware business, started in 2016 when we were living in Johannesburg. And my family and I went through a series of financial trouble and losses. And I literally one day fell on my knees and I said, Lord, what do I have to do? Just give me an idea. And believe it or not, his answer was waste. So that's more or less in a nutshell how my business started, from despair and just total hopelessness to a beautiful idea that God has just made to blossom over the last few years. So I'm so thankful for God just taking me out of the dumpster and lifting me up and allowing me to run this business.
You started your business from making trash, taking normal trash and turning it into upcycled products. And you've started it from scratch, in essence, from nothing. You had nothing, you started it from nothing. I think that is such a great message for so many people who today have literally been retrenched. They have nothing. They have no income, no source of income. Many of them are so hopeless as well. And I think that is a great message of encouragement, even for people who don't have anything right now or haven't any source of income. How would you encourage them, or what advice would you give them to see opportunity in their current challenges?
I've learned to always look at the bright side, and I've actually also learned that God has a mysterious way of just directing our paths. So we might not always agree with what He's busy doing, but I've just decided to change my total mindset to see what is God trying to say to me, what message is He trying to convey to me. So in my opinion, I want people to actually start looking at the challenge as a blessing. First of all, we know this pandemic is totally out of our control. So that is one of the first things I would like to say, is that when something is out of your control, you literally have no control over it. So it's pointless, mulling over it and being depressed over it. Instead of just being in that space of hopelessness, change your mindset to say, okay, what can I control at the moment? And that is what happened to us. Most of these things, yes, was some of our own doing when it happened to us, making wrong decisions, making unwise financial choices. But there were certain things that were totally out of our control. As I said, was if it's out of your control, stop worrying about it. Just look at what is within your control, and then seek God's purpose for your life. If you are in a job and you have now unfortunately lost your job, there must be a reason why God has now allowed this to happen. And one of my favorite sayings, and God laid this word on my heart a few years ago, creativity grows more when faced with adversity. when we were going through all this trouble and turmoil, that's when I was at my most creative, because my mind was literally forced to think out of the box. So look at the situation of despair, of adversity, as an opportunity for your creative juices to start flowing, and ask God. And you might already know what passions lie within you, and only you would know that, because God has put those things within you and is waiting for you to take a step for it to be birthed and brought to the world. And then make a list of the things that come natural to you. Write down what makes you tick. Most of us know these things already, but maybe we have put it on the back burner. Maybe we've decided, no, listen, one day when I have enough cash in my bank account, I'm going to start building this dream or this thing that God has put in my heart. And that's actually a lie. That's actually going the wrong way of what God has intended for us. So God has put these things in our heart, and our first objective should not be to find employment. In my opinion, your first objective should be, Lord, let me follow your will for my life. Then another pointer is, don't let the lack of money put you off, because that's, most of us would have that excuse. I don't have a camera. We just spoke earlier.
I must say to you though that I love that about you. It's like you use what you've got. I saw in one of your YouTube videos you actually did is you created your own light for your videos.
I'm using it right now.
Are you using it right now? And I think that's so amazing. And you took that from scrap that everybody else would have just thrown away, and you made a light ring out of it. And I love that about you. It's like what other people discard as trash, you're able to see the treasure in it. And I think in one of your interviews, you actually said something so powerful. You said an item's second life can be more valuable than its first.
Oh, I love that. You know what, Isel, you're so right. And once again, that's the gift that God has given me. So I would be, first of all, what is the word that I want to use? I would actually offend him if I don't use my gift. And I don't want to grieve him. So I need to be doing what I'm doing. So I need to be obedient. And yes, I do fault sometimes, but as far as I can, I try to use my gift. And especially when I know God says, okay, do this today. First thing I would say is, I don't have this, I don't have the money, I don't have the time. So instead of looking for excuses, as I said, use what you have. That is my life's motto. It's my business's motto. I use what I have. And yes, I sometimes have all these great plans and I compare myself to other businesses, and I should stop doing that, because each one of us, we have our own journey. So with what I have, with the resources that you have, try your best and bring your best. Your best will actually come to the forefront. So when I started, I had a million excuses. I made a video of this as well. I literally had all the reason not to start. I had a 50 Rand in my pocket when I designed my first product, which is the tuna can. And I took that 50 Rand, I had a few lids cut, and I had about 5 samples, and I took those samples to the streets and I went selling in a local tourist area here in Cape Town, and that's how I received my first few orders. So I've been building my business slower than I should because of lack of capital, but at the end of the day, it's been so much more rewarding because the creativity comes to the fore, and that's how your business and that's how you grow as well. And then my last little tip for that specific question that you asked is, once again, I want to reiterate that don't look at this challenge as the end of your life and the end of your world. Look at it as a new season and embrace the season. And believe that this is what God has now entrusted you with. And He wouldn't give you something that you cannot handle. And I'm a testimony of that.
Having lost everything and how you really rebuilt your life, and you really are a true testament of that. What has been your biggest challenges in starting up your business from scratch after having lost everything, and how have you really overcome that?
So the from scratch has been the biggest challenge. I don't think any one of us think of, or we have this dream of a business one day, but you always want a nice amount of cash in your bank account. You want staff, you want the whole shebang, but it doesn't always happen like that. So once again, it has been the biggest challenge, and overcoming that is a bit difficult. So the progress is slower, but I don't think I want it any other way, because I have seen entrepreneurs who get lots of cash and they get investors, but then the whole thing just spirals out of control because they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So I've had the opportunity to literally exercise my grit and my passion and my drive, because I could have given up a long time ago. So
those are things that you can't buy.
Yes, because if I would get $1 million tomorrow, I would know exactly how I would spend it and stretch it as far as I can to make an impact, because I want my business to make an impact on people, on the community. I don't want my business to just be profitable for me and for my family. That would totally defeat the purpose. So I think entrepreneurship, teaches you so many things, but one of the things that it really teaches you is to actually know who are you and why are you doing what you're doing. So I've had the opportunity to ask those very uncomfortable questions to myself, and I'm still in a day. I'm not going to give up. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and that is what keeps me going. And then secondly, fear. Fear is the greatest obstacle when it comes to this. It has an ability to limit your creativity. It literally chokes you. It can choke you because you can think of all the reasons, and it can suffocate you, and then you just end up saying, okay, no, I'm not going to do it. So those are the two biggest challenges that I have been faced over the last few years with my business.
It's Women's Month, and as women are rising up. They've got the responsibility of having to be a mother, a wife, managing a household, running a business. How do you manage everything, like juggling it all and really getting to everything?
My relationship with Jesus, I cannot not talk about him, because I would have been crazy if I didn't have my relationship with God. And that is the first place where we should go and look for refreshment and being energized, and that is where we find it, at the feet of Jesus. And I have for so long not really, taken the time, because it becomes busy. We distracted with, like you said, with all the hats that we have to wear. But if you just stay within the discipline of honing your relationship with Jesus, He will actually direct your steps. And then I've neglected to take care of myself for a long time. Going through all the trouble, I had to be strong for my family. So I was putting off all the disappointments and just literally just getting up again and just going on and just going on. And then last year, it actually became so much that I almost had a breakdown. It was something totally unknown to me. And just one day, I just literally nearly had a nervous breakdown. And I wondered to myself, how did I allow it to get to that point? And I want to say that one of the most valuable pieces of advice I received was from a friend that I met in Egypt. She's from Burundi. And I had a disappointment one day in business, and the two of us were just chatting on WhatsApp. And she said to me, have you grieved this disappointment? And Izal, it was like, what? Never think of grieving situations and challenges. You always just think of death when you think of grieving. And it totally changed my mindset, because she said, if you do not grieve what has happened to you, you run the risk of becoming cynical. So I've been trying to literally look at every disappointment and challenge and things that don't go my way. And I grieve. I go through a process where I say, and I think about it, and I write down and I reflect. because then only you can move on, because you might not think that these things will catch up to you, but I saw it last year. I never grieved all these happenings over the years, and last year it caught up to me, and I literally had to run away for a weekend, 3 days, and just go to a quiet place and be on my own and just be with God so that He can just build me up again. I've just learned to block my time, and I have to have a block of time where I work during the day and have some family time and have some play time. That's so important. And then also I've just started, all my hobbies, and I'm a homebody. I love being at home. So I enjoy lockdown. I know God has given me this time to put certain things into place, because I've always had an excuse for I don't have time for this. I don't have time to run my admin correctly. I don't have time to do this and that. What will be our excuse after lockdown? We will not have an excuse. We should not have an excuse after this. And use lockdown to upskill yourself, to do that online course that you've always wanted to do, and it might not even be in the industry that you are in now, but this thing has been niggling here in your heart for a long time. Use this time, take an hour a day to hone your skill and to upskill yourself.
I love what you were saying, because it's so, if you really think of it, it's so important for us to take care of ourselves as well and to build ourselves up, because you can't give if you're empty. Nothing going on the inside because you're so drained. How can you pour out anymore? So I really love that you were saying that you have to take time and really just get refreshed in the presence of God. Take time and for yourself, do things that you enjoy and that makes you happy. Yes. And whether it's playing with your kids or whatever it is, it's so important that we stay filled up, because otherwise you're going to run on empty. And we all know what happens to a car that has no petrol. You're going to get stuck. That Africa.
Our Africa frame, yes.
Your Africa frame, that. You did that yourself.
Yes.
But that is really, it's stunning. It's stunning. It's beautiful.
The story.
Yes.
This is the story. Once again, lockdown in May, and the family and I, we just took a walk here on the land, just an afternoon walk, and I saw this piece of wood, ugly discarded wood, but immediately I'm drawn to Africa. I love the shape of Africa. I love the continent and its people. So I saw it. I immediately saw an Africa shape when I saw it. So I brought it home. It lay in my workshop for a week or so. And then one Saturday morning, I just started, cutting the shape. And I literally drew it by hand, because I don't have a big enough printer to print the stencil. So I drew it by hand. I took a picture on Africa Day. So I stood with the frame and I took a picture, posted, but I didn't really know what was the response going to be. And the response overwhelmed me. People were sending me messages, please, can I have one? Now that is just how God works, because this is something totally that I would not have thought of listing, but now it's become a product in my listing. I've listed it as a product in my range, and it's selling. People are loving it. So once again, just look at things in a different way and don't discard yourself. The literal meaning is now, my words are now escaping me. But what I want to say is, most of us have gone through challenges, and we were on the rubbish dump. That piece of wood was on the dumpster. It had nobody had a plan with it. God gave me this gift to look at it in a different way, and now it's a product that's being sold and being sent all over South Africa and hopefully the world.
Sell your products, Lizl.
So right now I sell it online. So people send the orders through online or via my DM on social media. Before lockdown, I sold in shops. So in certain shops here, local shops, Table Mountain, Waterfront, etc. But most of my sales now come through my online store.
And any final remarks from you, Lizl?
There are days when I literally do nothing, and I don't feel guilty about it. You need rest, I need rest, And each of us have a different way of rejuvenating ourselves. So there are days when I literally lay in bed, I put on a nice rom-com, I cry my eyes out, or I read a book. And then I love nature. I'm fortunate to live on a small holding in the winelands. So we're surrounded by nature and farm animals, and that's really beautiful to see. So during the day, I literally take 20 minutes or so, sit outside in the sun, just breathe and do nothing. And if I just have one thing on my list for the day that I have done, I feel productive. And then there are other days where I run till midnight or even longer. And then the next day I just take a chill, and that's how we stay balanced and rejuvenated. And a final remark is, many of us are in our comfort zones. Let's be real. It's easy for us to just hover there in that comfort zone, but God has a way of pulling us out of that comfort zone, and I see it as an act of grace. The fact that He cares so much for us, that He doesn't want us there. He wants us to step out of that comfort zone and get over the fear and take His hand and allow Him to unearth the brilliance that He's put in us. Because if you just stay in that comfort zone, the world doesn't have the opportunity to see who you really are and why you were born. You were born to bring something to the world, a specific flavor, a specific answer. And as I said, through this time of adversity, there's an answer it's brewing here within you, and you have the opportunity, and you need to take that step to unearth it, so that with the help of God, you can actually be a blessing to the world.
Thank you so much for your time, Lizl, and may you go from strength to strength and from glory to glory, and may your business just go global, and may your territory be enlarged, and just keep being the blessing that you are.
Thank you so much. I receive that blessing, and I love what you're doing. Keep on doing it, Lizl. Let's operate in our gifts, because that is what God wants from us at this stage.